That's a nice picture.
Yeah, it is. Well, I think these are all these have all been photo enhanced and colorized. Just because I like to do that sort of thing. Now, okay, so that's the big event, August 24th, 1972. Clotilda Sigfrid died. But there was another event here of import. On August the 29th, 2014, Linda Gribble you introduced me to Linda Gribble. That's why I call that the Linda Gribble introduction. And there's the picture of the two of us going back to probably around 2014. And then this is the letter, of course, and there's a picture of you back in 2014. So I threw in a picture of, well, Linda, do you want to say who these people are?
Uh, yeah. Are you talking about the picture? Which one are you referring to here?
Well, you can't see my cursor.
Yeah. Well, basically, yeah. No, actually, I can't.
Well,
I mean,
I'll give you a hint. They're Hornings.
okay, okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Because
Okay.
a couple pictures I'm recognizing, a couple I'm not. That's why I asked. Yeah. So basically, that's George and Margaretha. That's our common great grandparents. Sister would be a generation sooner. And then the top right check, I think. I'm thinking maybe that's when we met at the Panera's in Akron on Arlington. Does that seem familiar?
Yeah, it was way back there. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure it was about the time I got inducted into the Portage County
Okay.
early settlers or whatever they wanted to call that.
Yeah, that's possible because I think we may have corresponded before. I don't know that we had met before then, but I remember Sister because I had met Sister maybe years ago. I don't remember, but I do remember seeing Sister at there was an I think it was maybe a Horning reunion out at St. Joe's in Randolph. And when I was talking to Sister, she had mentioned her nephew referring to you. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, you have to meet my nephew because he's really interested in the family history. And I think it was at that point I may have sent you some things in the mail. And
Yeah.
then later that the picture of us meeting with that would have been, at some point
Okay.
later.
So I'm going to
So
read the letter. This is the letter that introduced me to you. Uh,
okay.
so sister wrote to me on August the 29th, 2004. She was living at on the Caroline Street, apartment one back then. She says, Dear Chuck, hi, how are you? Best wishes to you and Emily and Liz and Joseph. Linda Gribble sent me the enclosed early Horning history to give to you. She apologized for some of the pages being on a slant. She said she was very sorry she did not have more on the Rothermells. Linda said if you want to contact her, you can write or email her. And so she sent you the card. She is our cousin somehow. I'm going to, because I figured it out, right? I'm going to tell you how we are fourth cousins twice over.
Right.
I'm going to go through that.
And that's correct through the Rothermells and the Hornings. I don't have
Yeah.
much on the Rothermells. I wish I did. The Hornings and Hornung, I have a lot. So
Okay, I replied to sister. It's been a while since I got this, and I finally got around to figuring out our relationship to Linda Horning Gribble. She is my fourth cousin twice, and your third cousin once removed twice. You can understand how you would have to go back and read this stuff. This just doesn't flow out of your mouth. You have to read it in order to make sure it's accurate. She's my fourth cousin twice, and your third cousin once removed twice. Linda and you slash I both have the common ancestors, George and Margaretha Curling Horning. George and Margaretha are my great grandparents and your great grandparents. That would be enough to make me, so dropping you from the discussion for the moment, just to simplify it, a fourth cousin to Linda. But there's more. But wait, there's more. Linda and I also have the common ancestors, Peter and Margaret Brotes Rothermel. These were also my great grandparents. That's why Linda and I are fourth cousins once again. How did this happen? Clotilda Clara Rothermel Sigfrid, my grandmother, was the daughter of Peter and Margaret Horning Rothermel. Through Margaret, I trace my lineage back to George and Margaretha Horning, obviously. But Linda also has an ancestor by the name of Anna Mary Rothermel,
Your sibling.
who married Andreas Andrew Horning on September 12th, 1853. And so she can also trace her lineage back to Peter and Margaret Rothermel. Okay. So Anna Mary Rothermel Horning was Margaret Horning Rothermel's aunt. So anyway, I put the picture of everybody. It would have been better if I put the picture of the Rothermels up there too, but I don't have it ready. So anyway, that's it. Those are the two big events in the life of Sister Margaret Mary. Obviously, the death of her mother was a big one. And then Linda and I are doing genealogy on Sunday too, so it's kind of important how our families kind of got joined in a way, research-wise, by an introduction from Sister Margaret Mary. So I have that included here as well. Sister, do you want to say anything about your mother's death, or Linda Gribble, or anything like that?
Uh, not I can't remember anything about those things you just asked, Chuck. I'm sorry.
Okay. So, I mean, you must remember your mother passing away.
Oh, I remember that I was working that day, and I couldn't leave right that minute. Uh, I it's hard to explain why, like being in charge of a pharmacy, how responsible it is, and you can't just up and leave. And that happened to me. I didn't. I had seen her a couple of days before that. It was a weekend, and I was off. That happened. I'm not off every weekend, but I do remember being off, and I went to see her, and she said, when I went in there, she said, "I'm not dead yet." I remember her saying that to me. She thought I came because she died, and it was sad, but I had to go back, and my brother, Father Paul, was with her when she died, and he stayed with her until he was with her when I got there finally. I had to drive. I would drive down by myself because I had gone to see her several times all that summer, and so I knew she was almost ready to go to God, but I didn't know when. Nobody knew when, but she was more than ready to go, and I had to go back to work. And when I got there, Father Paul had already told me by phone that she had.
You were grieving, right? I mean, you might have known something was about to happen, but it's still a blow, right?
Right.
When your mother passes away.
You're never sure when time comes.
Yeah.
But she was having that heart condition for so long, and she was in and out of the hospital many times, and I would always try to get a ride down. And I know Sister Kathleen Coleman's mother lived in an apartment, and Kathleen had a car, and she would drop me off at the nursing home, and then she'd pick me up and drive me back with her. It was very convenient. But I was sure that I had to learn how to drive then. So that's when I took driving lessons. I think that's what happened.
Oh, okay.
I took lessons at McKelvey's downtown, Youngstown, and I know I saved up my money so I could have enough to take the lessons, because I was always trying to find a ride back and forth. But then I stayed at St. John's Convent during the time of the funeral, and afterwards, when I was the only one to clean out the house. My brother Clement didn't anyhow, that's how it turned out that I was the one that
That
cleaned.
was a big job. If you did the whole cleaning out the house yourself, boy, that's kind of a big job. Did you get
Well,
did you get everything that was important out of the house?
yes, I did. I called everybody to see if they could come and take what they wanted. But I did make one big mistake. I didn't tell Pat about the old Edison that we had up on the third floor. And she said, "Why didn't you call us?" I gave it to somebody else that wanted it, and she really wanted that, but I did not know it. So
You know what? I think I remember that. That was that a wind up
yeah,
stereo?
yes, it
Yeah,
was.
I actually remember. I thought it was kind of neat too. Yeah, I thought it was pretty neat.
Yeah, I was sorry I didn't. And then Kathleen, I know Kathleen, Clem's daughter, Kathleen, wanted she had a beautiful set of dishes. She came and took all the dishes. Those things I do remember about mother, about cleaning out the house. I know all the girls came and took what they wanted.
Well,
And
let's see. I want to say one thing about grandma. I remember visiting grandma in the nursing home with my mom. Okay, my mom actually died earlier that year in May.
right.
Before she died, I know I went and visited. Uh, it was so. I mean, it was a shock to me. Obviously, my mom passing away was a big shock, but it was kind of a shock to me that when grandma passed away also. Of course, I'm out here living in Maryland doing my own thing. But all right. Sonny, do you want to say anything about those two events, passing away of grandma or
Yeah, yeah.
Linda Gribble?
I'd like to say, Sister Margaret Mary might like to know. Connie and John had come back from Germany, and I think they were actually staying, or at least Connie was staying for a little while with your mom. And I remember Connie was helping her, and before she was going to go to the hospital, remember they had that claw bathtub. And I remember, grandma didn't want to go to the hospital without getting a bath. Of course, she was so frail, she had a hard time. But I remember that Connie was helping her give a bath, and I would have been like 15 then. And I don't know how much help I was, but I was actually there. So I remember that she just didn't want to go to the hospital until she had a bath. And I know, she was in the hospital and in the nursing area for a long time. So I'm sure she had many sponge baths and things like that. But, it always kind of like stuck with me that she wanted to be clean before she went to the hospital.
Well, that's good. Now
Yeah.
I'm a little confused. I thought she died in the nursing home. That's not the case. That's not true, right?
She died at the House of Loretta. House of Loretta. It's
Which
a
was which
nurse,
is the nursing home, right?
yeah, nursing home.
Yeah. Okay. So there wasn't another hospital involved. She was term, ter I guess I don't want to say terminally ill. She had a heart condition. Um, Nowadays it probably wouldn't have been. They probably could have fixed her up, but back then I guess maybe not.
So can I ask a quick question at this point? So,
Absolutely.
thank you. So, sister, the House of Loretta, was that in Canton?
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay, because the reason that I'm asking is because I
still,
had a lot. I'm
still
sorry, go
there.
ahead.
It's still there, I think.
Oh, okay. That's really interesting to know because doing the family history, I've collected a number of death certificates, just seeing, how people have passed away and where they passed away. And that's where my great grandma, Sarah Harder Horning, that's also where she was at the end of her life as well. So when you
Oh,
brought that up, I thought, oh, that sounds really familiar. I didn't know it was still there. I'll have to drive by it sometime. I'd like to see it. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
the Sisters of the Holy Spirit were the
Okay.
ones who were operating it or taking care of. They specialized in parents of religious brothers and priests and sisters. And Father Paul and I went to visit there to find out if we could take my mother there. And
Uh-huh.
this is a beautiful thing that happened. It was over the Memorial Day weekend, and I was off, I think, because I was there with Father Paul to see the Mother Superior there to if there would be a room for our mother. And she said, the father of John Madej just passed away, so there's room now.
Oh.
And it was like a miracle.
Oh.
Father Paul and I said, "Oh God, how wonderful you are to us,"
Oh.
because they got a bed for my mother because somebody's other father just died.
Yeah.
It was that's how mother got in there. She was never happy there. It was a it was a it wasn't a nice. I mean, it was a too nice of a place. They had to dress up for supper in the evening, dinner they called it. She had to. My mother wore house dresses most of the time. She didn't have real fancy clothes,
Yeah.
and she said it's like entering an novitiate when you're 80 years old.
That's funny.
Honey, she said you have to do this and do that, and they have all kinds of rules and regulations. She only lasted there about a year and a half.
Oh.
She didn't stay very long, and she was with the understanding that she could go back and forth to her house. She didn't want to leave her house, so Clemmy and I said, we'll take you back to your house. We won't do anything with your house while you're here. It's just temporary. And we told her that it was temporary, that she was there, but she didn't. She didn't really enjoy it at all.
Oh.
It wasn't her cup of tea.
Yeah. Oh, it happens. But you said it was a lot of religious, like brothers and sisters would go there, or
Yeah, well, they specialized in making room for parents of religious. That's what they
yeah.
do, and so they would be glad to work for getting us place for our mother.
Yeah. Yeah, because the reason I was asking was because my so this great grandmother of mine, she had the 5 boys, and the oldest was my grandfather, and then they did have a daughter, and Eleonora, and she actually was a nun, and she had actually passed away a number of years earlier, but I'm wondering if maybe that's how maybe my great grandmother was able to get in there because her daughter had been a religious. I don't know, but I'm kind of suspecting that from what you're saying, so that's really interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Can,
Well,
can
thank you for